Hey, what's up, Street Hogs? It's Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So, I can't believe this took me so long for me to figure out this technique, but if you want to take more photos and be more prolific as a photographer and shoot more photos and be happier, take photos while walking. So, I think often in photography we feel like you have to walk, stop, take a photo, walk, stop, take a photo. I actually recommend you to not do that. Instead, walk and shoot, and perhaps use your phone or a camera with an LCD screen so you don't trip over with a stupid viewfinder. And like, for example, what I might do, this often happens when I'm out walking with Cindy, is if I'm always walking and shooting and I suddenly stop for every single photograph, it's really annoying. So what I'd even do is when I'm out shooting, I'll walk and I'll go click, 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 and I'll compose the scene while I'm clicking. So you even see this tree up here, you can see this composition. I go click, 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 and then when I'm bored, I stop clicking. And some people might say this is kind of a sloppy technique. Is that, oh no, you have to stop, you have to put up a tripod and photograph, blah blah. I mean, like, that's totally fine. You could do whatever technique you want to do, but I think in street photography, it's good to walk and shoot because this works especially well if you have kids or a family or people who get annoyed with you always taking photos. Well, this is actually a nice scene here. You could even shoot like a nice urban landscape here. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. I'm gonna go back and shoot that photograph in a second. So yeah, like it's a good technique in street photography is that if you're walking, you're just shooting, because I think the biggest issue that a lot of us have, I know for myself in particular, is that we don't shoot enough. And my theory is that we're actually happiest when we're making photos. We're actually not like that happy. Like, okay, obviously you're out making photos and then you get a really good photo and you're very excited and you share it online, blah, blah, blah. But actually I think the biggest joy and the bigger joy is the thrill of the hunt, of going out, of walking, shooting, and making photos. Because I feel like when you're making photos, you're in the zone, you're in the creative zone, you're like in the active, creative act of taking the photos. And obviously it's gonna be different for everybody. For myself, I'm happiest when I'm actually making the shots. So walk and shoot. So you could do this with buildings or when you're photographing people, and even try to experiment using a Dutch angle, which means tilting the camera a little bit left to the right. This is one technique that Gary Winogrand used to do. So like, if I'm walking here on the streets of Kyoto, if I see like a lady walking by me, I'd probably go click, 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 and I'd essentially be taking photos while, click, 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 while she is walking and while I'm walking. And practical tips to make sure you don't get blur is use a high ISO, like ISO 1600 or even 3200, or just shoot in P mode, program mode. Getting a little bit loud on the street, I'm gonna go back into the back alley. So essentially, keep walking and shooting a lot. And my practical tip is, it's always better to overshoot than undershoot in street photography, because a lot of us are very self-conscious. A lot of us, we get paralyzed before we essentially click the shutter. And so the more you shoot, treat it like push-ups or a workout for your fingers. And it's kind of like greasing the groove, or it's like starting up your engine, is that the more you start to click your trigger finger, the more loose you're going to feel and the less inhibition you're going to feel before you click the shutter. Because I think a lot of us in photography, the biggest issue we have is the hesitation before shooting the photo in street photography. And so if you're just practice you see a scene and then you don't even think, you just respond and start clicking, that's going to be a really good thing for you in street photography, because once again, there's going to be less paralysis by analysis. So what paralysis by analysis is that you see a scene and you become paralyzed, you can't move, you can't take the photo, because you're over analyzing the thing you're seeing. You're thinking too much. You're like, oh, is the composition going to be perfect? Are they going to move? And you just end up taking no photo and taking no photo is worse than taking a bad photo. So if you see a scene, you might shoot like 20, 30 photos. Then when you go home, download your photos into Lightroom, then flag the photos that you like the best, and realize, yeah, just keep working the scene. So like even here, nice background, you go click, 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 click. You got this guy here on the left, and then the juxtaposition with the guy on the right. Or this is also another technique you do in street photography, the fishing technique. You see this nice scene here, and you essentially look down the road this way, or look down this road that way, and you wait for them, and you can take a photo like click, 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 click. And you can make street photos that way. So I just showed you two techniques. One is walking and taking photos, and the other one is just the fishing technique, where you see a nice scene, you treat your camera like a fishing rod, you put out the bait, and just wait for the people to enter the scene, right? So hopefully some of these tips and techniques will work well. To learn more, just Google Eric Kim blog, check out the Eric Kim blog and street photography blog. Check out some of my upcoming workshops. I got one coming up in SF later this year. And always be bold, put a smile on your face, and realize street photography is good for your soul, it's good for your creative abilities, and when in doubt, just shoot it.